First of all, I would like to talk about the power chord. I assume everybody of you knows about the power chord, but let's show it first. First you have to have the root, and you take the major scale of this tone. So in my case, in this case, it's G major scale. Let's see how it looks like. So the G is the root, and you go up to the 5th degree of this G. So we finish on D, which is the 5th. And there's a power chord, you have this G and D. It's called G5 most of the times in lead sheets or chord sheets. And then there's a second version, you can add the octave, so, which means 8. You go up from 5 to 8, which looks like that. We finished at G, and altogether it sounds like that. I'm not gonna talk about guitar technique or guitar playing technique because it's not necessary in this topic. I just talked about the power chord because you probably are used to that, because we need the root, so which is 1, and when you know where the 5th is and where the 8th is, it will not be a problem to follow this story, how to develop these chords. So let's play the G, in this case the G major scale, once again. So this was up from 1 to 8. When we know that, we already know where the 7th tone is, which is F sharp. Now let's see. This is the major 7th. And when we add to this octave the major 3rd in the next octave, we have to search it like this. We start at the G and go up 2 times. So 1, 2, 3, which is B natural. When we have the root, which is 1, the 7 and the 3, we have the basic chord we need in jazz songs, when we accompany in the big band, when we play songs as an accompaniment for vocalists or other instrumentalists. On various jazz books, like the Real Book or other books, we see chord symbols like G major 7, G dominant 7, G6 and many other signs. And now I would like to tell you how to find these specific tones on your fretboard. It means we already know the G major scale, and we know where the root is, and we know where the 7 is, the major 7 and the major 3rd, which sounds like this. So the system of these chords is like that. You have a bass tone, which is the root, always the root, on either the low E string or the A string. And the guide tones are you can find on the middle, the both middle strings, which is the D string and the G string. The first thing you have to know the bass tones. When you have a G major something chord, where is the G on the both of the low strings, of the bass strings? So you have always 2 chances to find the root. When we talk about the G major 7 chord, we can find the G on the low E string here, or on the A string here. So either choose the tone on the low E string or on the A string. And the guide tones I was talking about, first we have to know what are guide tones. Guide tones are the 3 and the 7. And why are the guide tones so important? Because they tell you which chord type you have. When we have a chord symbol which says it's a G major 7 chord, it means we have the major third for major chord and the major 7 for the major 7 chord. But when we have a major chord with a minor 7, it means that's a dominant chord with a dominant function. And the reason why I said that the guide tones is that important, because they really lead you where, they guide you somewhere. It says that the 3, the third, says it's a major chord or a minor chord or something connected with major and minor chords. And the 7, for example, the major chord, says if it's a dominant chord, it has to resolve somewhere. You can exceptions are always in musical life, but with a dominant 7, it cannot really be the end of the song. But with a major 7, it's much easier to do that. So what we already saw was a G major 7 chord, which once again I repeated. One very important thing is also use your ears. That you, when you learn it and try to find all these chords and you play all these chords to these chord symbols you see in your chart, always let your ears be connected with the sound you hear. It should be like that after a while, that you see a chord symbol and you, without playing it on your instrument, in your case the guitar, you immediately should be able to hear the sound of a major 7 chord or a minor 7 chord or whatever you see here. Until now we were only talking about chords where G is the root. And this G was located on the low E string. But as I said before, you have always 2 chances to find this tone, this root. So the second chance is of course on the A string. And you find the tone G on A string here. So now the 3rd and the 7, the guide tones, are located on different positions. So I go back to the G major 7 chord. Let's see. 1. Then we jump over the A string. Next we reach the 7, the major 7, which is F sharp, and we have the major 3rd, which is B natural. So the 3rd is on the higher guide tone string. When we go up with the hand, the chord is located here. First we have the root, then the second tone we reach first is the 3rd in this case. And on the higher string of the guide tones we have the major 7. The whole chord sounds like that. So we have 2 shapes of this G major 7 chord. The lower version and the higher version. So, as I said, always listen to these sounds, and it depends on the situation, where you come from and where you go next, which version you should play. So when you play on the lower frets, you will probably choose the lower version of this chord. If you play on the higher positions, you will take the higher one. These were the 2 shapes for G major 7 chord. Of course, there are many other different chords, but about these we will talk about later. Practice, train your ears, see you later.